everybody. Hi.
That's it. Thank you. You're welcome.
Elena was on first.
Hi.
Two, please.
You got it. You want public records? No, you feel that vibe and you're like, never again. Baby. You skip it to my all the time. You just said to my sorry. Oh my God, I was walking there. I said, baby, it still has not passed the litmus test.
You're working for home resource?
Coming?
No.
Oh, she's definitely not. Okay.
I have a question for you. We have Evelyn healthcare. Do they like it? Do they not? Evelyn? Might think switching from the other. By the way, I had your quiche to die for. I went home actually and I ate a quiche and I said, I won't even bring it in here because it'll never pass the taste test. That was very good.
$7:00, and we'll call the December 12th meeting of the Woodstock Town Board to order. First thing is just a quick announcement. Next week, we're going to start our meeting at 6:00, and we'll be going into executive session to interview candidates for various volunteer boards. So if you want to come and watch us go into executive session, you're welcome, but then we'll start the regular meeting at 7:00. We won't do any business before 7. So before we start the public hearing, I'll offer one resolution, be it resolved to authorize payment of 3 bills for November 2023 in the amount of $1,128.50.
Second for discussion.
We'll discuss.
Board members have a fiduciary responsibility to see that the taxpayers' money is spent in the best interest of taxpayers. And scrutinizing these legal bills is part of that responsibility. Last month, nobody sitting here at the table could say exactly what these legal bills were for. I'm glad to see that these funds are now being accounted for and that they have been paid. But more legal invoices are piling up for the taxpayers over 10 Church Road. And these legal bills deserve scrutiny as well. Taxpayers in the town board should have a full accounting of the legal bills, including how much the supervisor has already spent defending an illegal permit and an illegal dump. Supervisor McKenna, you're directing the failing legal strategy without consulting the town board. It's our responsibility, fiduciary responsibility, as board members to ask questions and get answers about this spending. When can we have a discussion about the next steps in the legal case concerning the spending of legal bills at 10 Church Road?
I'll get back to you on that. The motion on the table, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Thank you.
4-0.
Yes. All right, Jackie, do you have the legal notice?
I do. At a meeting held on November 21st, the town board scheduled a public hearing for the proposed amendments to Chapter 209, the taxation law of the town of Woodstock, to allow for partial exemptions for volunteer members of the Woodstock Fire District. People will now be heard.
Anyone wishing to speak about this matter? Kevin, is that what you're here for?
I just want to listen.
Okay. Jackie?
I'd like to speak.
Sure.
I think that this is a wonderful amendment to chapter 209. I think that our volunteer fire department and our volunteer rescue squad members deserve a much needed break. Unfortunately, they tend to be the people in town that are the least wealthy. They're more dedicated to community, and I'm thankful for this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Where do we find this amendment?
Email you a copy, it's
It's
online.
not on the table.
I have one right here, you can look it up.
Thank you.
One other thing did come up today, a concern about pegging it to the LoSAP program. So I did actually have a brief conversation with Commissioner Donald Allen a little while ago, so I told him I would look into that. And I might recommend a slight amendment to this in how people qualify for that. Because apparently some people are active, but they're not necessarily named in the LoSAP program. So I'll discuss that more with Evan and Donald tomorrow, and if we're gonna make some amendment to that, or if I'm gonna recommend, I'll get back to you on that.
Can I just ask one other
Sure.
question? Is this available for retired volunteers, or is it just for active volunteers?
If you've retired, you can still qualify.
Qualified for it, okay.
Right, if you've had 20 years of active service and then you retire, you get it for your life,
Correct.
but you have to put in the 20 years.
But the town does have to have some mechanism to peg it to, so we somehow need to tie it a little to the LoSAP, but maybe if that, you don't have to be an actual member, but just use that as a
You
qualifying.
can use the same qualifying points as categories,
Right,
the calls, the drills, the meetings, et cetera.
without actually being enrolled in
Tied
the
to 50 points,
Yeah.
right, so that could be done
Right,
easily.
right. So,
It's up to 10%, and the town board makes a decision on each exemption. Is that how it works? From 0 to 10%?
give me 1 second, Jim. There was some exclusion in the law with it. Let me get back to you, that's a fair
It
question.
implies that some people will get 5%, but how is that decision?
I think in the law, the qualifying law for this, there was some extent, some description of that. I'll get back to you now.
Okay, could I just ask that our law be made clear with all the details?
Good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the public? All right, I'm going to make a motion to recess the hearing to the call of the chair. I'll go over this with Donald and Evan in the next day or so, and if we are going to recommend changes, I'll send it out to you.
Could you send a copy of that as well?
This I sent out to you about a month ago. You sent it.
It does not have the LoSAP peg changes on it.
No, I have not made any changes to that.
Oh, okay. But I'd like to see the,
This is what I sent a month ago.
right, I've got that. I want to use
This is it.
after the LoSAP.
Okay. So the only other public hearing, Lorena, I think was first up.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, this is right here, okay. So, we are advocating for grantness, which is enforcement on short-term rental, and it will help the building department in our town to keep everybody honest and fair, and Anyway, there's a lot more information. I did a presentation last night, which given it, to the town board. But the first step, which is really important, and we're happy and thank you for helping to advocate for getting the base, which is the address identification, the first module, which is really important and a really great first step. But as soon as you can, to work on increasing the short-term rental fees, which is the lowest there is across Ulster County. We have like the lowest, and so we bring them up to at least the other town municipalities. But there is sort of a formula that across the nation they're using, which would increase more. But even if you brought it up to $150 times 296 short-term rentals, which is our cap, that would be 44,400 and would cover the other 4 modules, and potentially to have a short-term rental consultant, Jeffrey Goodman, unless there's somebody else you want to find out. He's in line with what Granicus is doing and does this across nation and has a lot of experience. So it would cover all that and more. So I just think that if we could kind of make sure that we get ready for the next peak season and not let this go for another year.
I am working, just so you know,
Thank you.
on fee increases in the number of areas, including STRs. And we usually adopt those. I will have a resolution for the organizational meeting, the first meeting in January.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Next, Jackie?
Alex Bollinger?
Alex?
It's directed towards the supervisor, to all of us as well. You keep telling us that your hands are tied when it comes to doing more of a cleanup at Church Road. You have blamed the DEC, you blamed some version of the law, and you've even tried to blame the Amy's to excuse this inaction. And I've heard you say a lot, I wish I could do more, but such and such and such and such is preventing me. So in the past few weeks, we have received confirmation, first from the DEC and now from the New York State Supreme Court, that the buck stops at you. First, the DEC confirmed that municipalities having stricter laws than the state take precedence, and now the Supreme Court has ruled that local municipal officials are vested with discretion about whether to enforce town codes and town laws, and that whether the remediation was adequate is a discretionary determination for town officials. So that means that every decision about Church Road is and has always been your decision. So you attributed the permit to a vote of the town board. That vote never took place. You instructed the building inspector to issue the illegal permit without getting paid for it, and you fronted the property owner services like engineering work and testing, which even if repaid amount to a loan from a municipality. That's why property owners put money into escrow accounts when the town needs to hire professionals for work at their property. These loans are a misuse of our taxpayer funds and a violation of the New York State Constitution. You accepted a plan that was inadequate, dangerous, against our law, and ignored an entire half of the property where C&D was dumped and buried. You continue to make claims that all of the C&D has been removed, but you have provided no evidence to support those claims, and the facts betray your assertions. Now that all of these excuses have evaporated, the EPA, the DEC, the court, all of them are saying it's up to you and only you. You should finally admit to us that our water is being threatened and our laws are being ignored, because that's your choice and you have chosen it to be so at your discretion. So when you say that nothing more can be done, what you're really saying is that you are refusing to do anything more. That you, Bill, are protecting an illegal dump instead of our water.
Thank you.
John Ludwig?
John?
Thank you. I think we all found from the public hearings in October and November about the zoning that there's a lot of interest among the public in this zoning proposal. And one of the big questions for me, and I think other people, is what is the timeline? Will there be a vote before the end of this month on that proposal?
I don't anticipate one.
What you
John,
have
I have no timeline.
do you want to call a vote on it before the end of this month?
I don't see how we could.
Okay.
Somebody started a rumor.
Well, I don't
I'm not,
pay attention to
I'm not accusing you.
from our earlier discussion. I need to learn. Tell me, please.
I'm just telling you, I have no timeline. When we enough members feel that we've looked at it hard enough and made the sufficient changes, we'll put it up.
Okay, there was a time you said there might be a public hearing in December. Will there be another public hearing in December?
I don't know, I don't anticipate, I think probably I'll hold one in January, because we're still looking at a lot of the information that we got. Again, contrary to popular opinion, we actually do look at this stuff. And the committee is looking, analyzing, and preparing a document to recommend potential changes to the board.
Okay,
So I would say in January, we might be back to that.
okay. I'd like to ask you, please, to lay out some kind of timeline so that we have some idea. This is an important law that you want to pass.
I'm not, but what Mike wrote is I'm not going to rush it and say.
I'm not saying rush it. I'm saying maybe April is your vote.
Let's
lay it out.
Let's say maybe April.
You're the supervisor, and I'm asking if you could tell us what your plan is because I know you want to get this law passed, and what is your timeline?
I don't have one.
I know you don't, but I'm asking you to please give us one.
When the board is sufficiently comfortable with the law, then we move to pass it. That's
You're going to take it
timeline.
day by day, is what you're saying.
2 minutes, sure. Thank you, John.
Michael Beach?
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to
From
you.
the tree committee. I just sent an email to everyone on the board, written by our member Cindy Merrill, with regards to the blight-resistant elm tree that stands and has stood for 150 years behind the youth center. The tree committee is pointing out to the town board and to the task force looking at the designing of the new youth center, the importance of this tree, the importance of preserving this tree, the importance of protecting this tree during construction and not damaging it. The DNA from this elm tree, which is blight resistant, is valuable. It has a value to foresters who are trying to create blight resistant strains of elm. And it serves the town of Woodstock greatly to preserve this tree as long as it wants to stand there. And it may be good for another 100 years.
God willing.
Also, I believe Bennett is going to bring forth our annual Tree City proclamation for approval tonight.
I asked for that to be put on the agenda
Yeah.
this morning. I sent it to you, asked if you would put it on.
I never saw that. What time is this morning? I didn't get it. I'll put it on next week.
Well, I need to get it in by the end of the month to Tree City, so,
We'll have it
okay,
voted on. I'm sure everybody here will support it.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. And Lori, if you could bring that to the task
I
force.
just wanted to say that when Michael mentioned this, probably at least a couple of months ago, I brought it to the task force, and everyone is
So it's on the way.
fully aware of the importance of the tree and that it has to be protected for at all costs.
Excellent. Any more?
Susan Goldman?
Susan?
Yeah, I just wanted to reinforce the email that we sent to everyone, Catherine sent yesterday, I believe. And there is, to point out, one more meeting in December, and the board has an obligation to review the fees on an annual basis. And this is an opportunity that doesn't come around. If you don't choose to raise the fees this year, it hamstrings the town's enforcement. No matter how you decide to do it, it hamstrings the enforcement for another year. So that's really the impact here. We hope you will see the light and hire Granicus to do the additional things that they can do to support the building department. And if you raise the fees, it's a no-brainer that they're paid for, those services. So that's what we really hope to highlight, because There's like one more meeting.
Well, the fees won't be raised this year, they'll be raised at the organizational meeting, and I intend to,
In January.
yeah, it will be the first week, the first Tuesday.
And then the letters go out after that too.
Yes, yeah, so it will all happen in good time.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
That's it.
With that, I'll call for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?